Let us close the eyes for a moment, remembering all-pervading divinity, remembering all the masters. We will pray. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvi Navadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May God protect us all. May God nourish us with wisdom. May we meditate and pray together. May there be no discord among us. May there be more love and peace among all of us, within and without. I humbly bow to formless God. I bow to all the saints and sages, including sage Patanjali. I bow to lineage of Kriya Yoga masters, and I bow to living presence of God in each one of you. Om. Amen. Good evening and good afternoon. In our previous class, we finished the first book of Yoga Sutra Patanjali, Samadhi Pada. Now today we'll begin the second book, which is the Sadhana Pada. After discussing about the goal of life, Sage Patanjali is going to explain about the method, the sadhana or the practice. Once the goal is clear, then we can find the way how to reach there. In brief, Sage Patanjali is now emphatically explaining that Kriya Yoga is the path to perfection, realization, and liberation. So today we'll begin this first book with the Sutra. So Kriya Yoga, path to liberation. Sadhana Pada. So in the Sadhana Pada, first we'll begin with the Sutra. Tapah Swadhyaya Ishwar Pranidhanani Kriya Yoga. Meditation, self-study, and surrender to divine together constitute Kriya Yoga. This is the definition of Kriya Yoga given by Sage Patanjali. But in reality, a person has to learn it from the Guru Preceptor in person. So what is Kriya Yoga? Sage Patanjali gives the most precise and practical definition of Kriya Yoga. In this entire text of Yoga Sutra, there is no mention of any other system of yoga except Kriya Yoga. Shri Gurudev emphasized repeatedly that Kriya Yoga is the yoga which is revealed by God to humankind in the beginning of creation. It is the yoga that is described in Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter, 1st verse, where Lord taught this yoga to first king of solar dynasty, Vivasvana. Human mind and memory are complex, restless, conflicting, and infested with strong likes and dislikes. The path of Kriya Yoga is to filter, polish, and discipline the impure mind and ultimately to make it an effective tool for self-realization. So the definition says, Kriya Yoga integrates these three practices simultaneously. Tapah, the path of action, Swadhyay, the path of knowledge, and Ishwar Pranidhana, the path of devotion and love. So, Kriya Yoga is the synthesis of karma, jnana, and bhakti yoga. That means action, knowledge, and devotion. In each human being, there are three principal organs: the hands, the heart, and the head. Hands represent activity, the heart represents emotion, and the head represents intellect. A pragmatic integration of these three H, head, hand, and heart, is the art of living a successful life of perfection that is called Kriya Yoga. Now, this is just the definition. What happens when a person practices Kriya Yoga? So, Sage Patanjali is telling in the next sutra, he's telling, Sahi Kriya Yoga, Samadhi Bhavanartha, Klesha Tanu Karanarthascha. So here, the purpose of Kriya practice is mentioned by Sage Patanjali. He's telling Sahi Kriya Yoga, that is Kriya Yoga indeed. Samadhi Bhavanartha, that is practice for the attainment of Samadhi. Then Klesha Tanu Karanartha Cha, for removing the miseries or obstacles. So there are two purposes of practicing Kriya Yoga. The first or primary practice or the primary objective of Kriya practice is Samadhi Bhavana, means to attain self-realization. And then the secondary benefit is Klesha Tanu Karanarthascha, all the miseries or obstacles are eradicated or removed. So Kriya Yoga comprises of the steps for Samadhi and the means for eradication of difficulties or miseries. In other words, through the practice of Kriya Yoga, one can experience the stages of Samadhi and diffuse the afflictions of the mind. And different stages of Samadhi we'll discuss in the next class. So this sutra highlights the immediate benefit of Kriya Yoga when it is practiced with implicit faith, love, and loyalty. Here the sage is specifically describing that through the sincere practice of Kriya Yoga, there are two prominent results: attainment of Samadhi and reduction of afflictions and miseries. Now the question comes that what are the different miseries when sage is telling to remove or to eradicate all the miseries? So in the next sutra, Sage Patanjali is explaining there are 5 types of afflictions, 5 kinds of miseries. So sutra number 3 in Sadhana Pada, Avidya, Asmita, Raga, Dvesha, Abhinivesha, Klesha. So 5 kinds of miseries, or they are known as Klesha. They are known as Avidya, means lack of wisdom, or you can say ignorance. Second is Asmita, egoism. Third is Raga, means likes or attachment. Dvesha, dislike or hatred. Abhinivesha, love for life. These are the 5 great causes of miseries in each one's life. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna is telling in the 8th chapter, 15th verse, Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. This world is the abode of sorrows and sufferings, and it is also transitory world. Similarly, Lord Buddha also emphasized that everything is sorrowful and ephemeral. So 5 kinds of miseries are avidya, absence of knowledge or ignorance; asmita, egoism, or you can say split identity, I-ness; Everyone in day-to-day life uses this word I without proper understanding of the real nature of I. Individuality and personality are two wings of ego. Third is raga. Raga means liking, attraction, attachment. Dvesha means dislike, repulsion, or hatred. So raga and dvesha, likes and dislikes, are the fragmentation of one's life into two or more, thwarting the state of unity and harmony. Ego brings likes and dislikes through judgments and conceptualizations. Then fifth affliction is abhinivesha, that is called fear of death, or clinging to one's physical life. Remember, death is natural to the body, but immortality is the real nature of the soul. Unfortunately, due to inevitable ignorance of one's own spiritual nature, all these miseries create havoc in one's life. Among these five miseries, one is the root cause. And what is that? So says Patanjali is telling in the next sutra, fourth sutra, ignorance is the root cause of all miseries. Avidya kshetram uttaresham prasupta tanu vichinna udaranam. Ignorance is the root of all other afflictions, likes and dislikes, whether in the form of dormant, thin, scattered, or expanded, are all born out of ignorance. So ignorance is giving birth to other four miseries. And these four miseries, they can be in different forms. These four offsprings of ignorance or avidya, they can be in four different forms. What are those forms? As Sage Patanjali is mentioning, that they are tanu, prasupta, tanu, vichinna, and udara. What does it mean? These miseries can be manifested, or the impressions from these miseries are manifested in one of these four forms in one's life. First one is prasupta. Prasupta means sleeping or dormant. Tanu means thin or dilute, tenuous. Third is called vichinna, scattered, separated, or repeatedly counteracted. And fourth state of these impressions of miseries is called udara, fully expanded or fully operative. Now, we can observe in day-to-day life, when we are dealing with people, we can see that these, like hatred, likes and dislikes, attachment, even the fear of death, these are in these four states in many people. So in some people it is thin or dormant, in some it is diluted, in some it is very fully operated or expanded. So when we say prasupta, prasupta means sleeping or dormant. In childhood, the desires were dormant like the seed, waiting for the right moment to manifest. So this is called prasupta, dormant. Tanu means thin or tenuous. The seed form of desires can remain weak because of the practice of opposites, like compassion and forgiveness for anger, or through the practice of Kriya Yoga, through which they slowly become powerless. So we can dilute these impressions. Third is vichinna. Vichinna means scattered, separated, repeatedly counteracted. When one tendency becomes extremely powerful, it covers up or suppresses the other. As when strong affection or attraction subdues a repulsive nature. Then fourth state of manifestation of these impressions is called udara. Udara means expanded or fully operative. And this is the state in which all other afflictions are clearly manifested. So the fourfold miseries described in previous sutra remains in one of these states, but the cause of all trouble is lack of awareness of reality, that is called ignorance. Then further, when Sage Patanjali is talking about these five miseries, so he's explaining or defining them a little bit more in the next sutra. And that sutra says, it goes from sutra number 5 to 9. So the definition of each one is mentioned here. What is avidya? Anitya, ashuchi, anitya ashuchi dukkhanam, dukkhan atmasu nitya shuchi, sukhatma khyati avidya. Avidya or ignorance is to consider non-eternal, impure misery and the non-self as the eternal, pure, good, and the self or soul, respectively. That means when we consider non-eternal as eternal, when we consider impure as pure, when we consider non-self as the self or soul, that is ignorance. Then what is the definition of asmita or ego? Drag darshan shakteho rekatmate vasmita. Identity of the power of seeing and seer is ego or asmita. Means that power which gives you this faculty to see, or when you think that you are the seer, that is ego or asmita, I-ness. Then what is raga? Sukhanushayi raga. Liking or attachment results from pleasure or happiness. So whenever there is pleasure we experience through the sense organs, or happiness we experience, that leads to raga or liking. We start liking that. Dukkhanushayi dvesha. What is dvesha or hatred or dislike? Dislike or aversion results from pain or unhappiness. So any experience which tells us that there is some pain, so we start disliking that, we want to go away from that, and that is creating hatred in us. And what is abhinivesha, the fifth misery? Swarasavahi vidushopi tatha rudho abhinivesha. Abhinivesha is the strong desire for life flowing by its own automatically, which influences even the learned one. So abhinivesha is the fear of death. When we talk about, when Sage Patanjali is talking about the raga and dvesha, likes and dislikes, so he's telling that affection or attachment increases with the expectation of pleasure and happiness. And Sage Vyasa has talked about this liking or attachment in three stages. He says, liking or attraction is possible only if one has experience of it. If we have not experienced any object, then there is no question of likes. So only after experience one can develop liking. Now this attraction is always based on previous memory, and this temptation is always directed towards that object. And about the dislike or hatred, it is said that dislike or hatred arises in mind because of remembrance of painful incidents, sorrows and sufferings. It is a state of resistance. Ego has a tendency to seek pleasure constantly, and it also loves to avoid all unpleasant experiences, and it's quite natural. Whatever is pleasant, we want to repeat that experience. What is unpleasant, we want to avoid that. Whether it is an object or a person. These two, sukha and dukkha, pleasure and pain, they're described by the masters of Kriya Yoga, and we can understand them in a beautiful way, as Sri Lahidi Mahasaya has said. Samite kha sukha, durete kha dukkha means in sukha and dukkha there is one common syllable kha. Kha means akasha or Brahma. Kha means space, or kha means God, who is absolute. So when we go closer to kha, when we go closer to God, it is sukha, means happiness. And when we go away from God, then it is dukkha or pain or misery. So in Kriya practice, when we go through the chakras, where is kha? Kha is the akasha or space element. A space element is in the throat center. So when we go from throat towards the fontanelle, so it is closer. We are closer to, when we are in fontanelle or center, then we are closer to akasha or space element. But when we go away, means from throat center, when we go downward towards the bottom center, so that is kha, but moving away from space, that is dukkha. So when we go away from space or God, that is pain or misery. When we come closer to God, when we come closer to space or God, then we are in happiness. So it's a very simple explanation by Shilahidi Mahasaya. So to be in the state of divine union is happiness, and to be away from it or to be united with the world and worldly relations while ignoring divinity is pain or suffering. So Vyasa also has explained about the objects of misery when he's talking about this aversion or hatred. So hatred can also be manifested in different feelings. When we say hatred, it is not just hatred, but it also takes many different forms. So what are those forms? Says Vyasa is explaining as manifestation of hatred in different person. You can see one form is called manyu in Sanskrit. Manyu means resentment, mental aversion, fixation of mind against something or somebody. That is called manyu. So when you are having a resentment, it is the form of manyu. This is hatred, but it has a different form. Another form of hatred you can see, which is manifested in people, is called jighamsa. Jighamsa means desire to kill or injure the person. Third form of hatred which manifests as ninda. Ninda means blaming and even vengeful desire to destroy. When you want to take revenge, when you criticize other people, this is also a form of hatred. Then fourth manifested form of hatred is called krodha, means anger. So whenever you have dislike or aversion or hatred towards an object of or a person, you can see that hatred is manifested in one of these forms. Whether you feel resentment, you try to desire to kill or injure the person, or you are blaming the person, or you become angry with the person. So these are the different forms of hatred we see in various people. Ordinary people, because of strong likes and dislikes, bring misery into their lives. They divide the entire world into two groups, favorable and unfavorable. There is a constant urge from within to go close to the lovable and to be away from the painful. Such flight or fight cannot keep a person in peace and harmony. Thus, one should really understand the true state of happiness and not get tossed with vacillating mind. A spiritual seeker should be very careful. Instead of being victim of ignorance and ego, one should tread the path of discrimination and detachment, vivek and vairagya. This is the path of yoga. Understanding the nature of mind helps to deal with things efficiently. When Sage Patanjali is saying about the fifth misery, which is abhinivesha, fear of death. Abhinivesha is also called love for life. It is the fear seen even in the wise people. Even if it is known to the wise people that one day the body will die. But still, this fear of death, people want to cling to the life, hold on to life. And the etymological meaning of abhinivesha is known as abhinivesha is abhito ni vashyate iti. Abhito ni vashyate iti. That which has entered into the core of the person very powerfully from every direction is abhinivesha. Fear is a common trait in every living being. However, these five miseries, they manifest in different forms, especially when a person has not controlled mind and senses, they are fully manifested in all their potential. What should we do now? We have the problem, our mind is restless, we are suffering because of these five. We have problems with likes and dislikes. We are fearful. We are also having ignorance. Then what is the way? So here Sage Patanjali is recommending that Kriya Yoga is the path. So in the path of Kriya Yoga, by practicing certain techniques, we can get rid of these two. Not only we can eliminate these five miseries in our life, but also we can attain samadhi or attain the state of self-realization. There are two possibilities now in our life because this is not the only life. So possibility is that either the miseries are already manifested in our life because whatever we are experiencing today, it is our prarabdha karma or it is the present active karma in this lifetime. Or second possibility, there are impressions which we are carrying from life after life. They are not yet manifested. They are called sanchita karma. They are not yet manifested. That means they will manifest or they will give result in future lifetimes. So what to do, what practice or what kind of practice will help us to be free from these two? So the next sutra gives us two solutions. It tells us about the miseries. If these miseries are already manifested and miseries which are not yet manifested. So this sutra, next one, which is the 10th sutra in Sadhana Pada, it tells the solution for destroying the miseries in their seed form. And that is related to our practice. So Sutra says, Te pratiprasava heya sukshma. Sukshma means subtle. Subtle means they are not manifested, but the seeds are still there, waiting to be fructified. So Te pratiprasava heya sukshma. These obstacles or these miseries, when they are subtle, can be destroyed by returning them back to their origin or the source. And what is the process? The process is tapaha swadhyaya. If you remember in previous sutra, we discussed the definition of Kriya Yoga as tapaha, swadhyaya, ishwar pranidhana, three elements. So tapaha and swadhyaya, these two helped us to remove the miseries in their seed form when they are not yet manifested. And how to do that? The practical application of tapah swadhyaya is kriya pranayama. And we all know, those who practice kriya pranayama or kriya yoga, they know that how one cycle of kriya pranayama helps to remove or eliminate 1 year of karma. So we can destroy the seeds of karma for 1 year just by practicing one cycle of kriya pranayama. So this is the sutra which explains that when the impressions of our karma in the form of misery are not yet manifested, we can completely destroy them by sending them back to their origin. Te pratiprasava heya sukshmaha. Now, a little bit more about this sutra. This klesha, because the 5 klesha or miseries are of 2 types, subtle or in the seed form, or already manifested. So in this sutra, sage Patanjali describes the destruction of the subtle form. And in the next one, we will discuss about the manifested form. The subtle form of miseries are like seeds. Seeds have ability to sprout, to grow, and ultimately to give plenty of fruits or results. It is easy to eliminate the germinating power of the seeds by roasting them. And Kriya meditation, Kriya yoga is the fire in which we can roast the seeds of karma samskaras, impressions of our previous karmas and desires. In this sutra, through the practice of Kriya Yoga, Sage Patanjali is telling one can achieve the state of samadhi and attenuate the obstacles and miseries. And another proof of this sutra, that how we can destroy the impressions of our karma which are not yet manifested, it is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter, 37th and 38th verse. It says, Yathai dhamsi samidhognir bhasmasat kurute Arjuna jnanagni sarvakarmani bhasmasat kurute tatha. O Arjuna, as fire burns much wood into ashes, so knowledge is a spiritual fire that can burn all actions. Then Lord is telling, Nahi jnanena sadrasham pavitram iha vidyate tat swayam yoga sansiddham kalena atmani vindati. In this world, there is no purifier equal to knowledge or super consciousness. One who practices Kriya Yoga and achieves perfection becomes self-realized in time. So when it says that Jnanagni sarva karmani bhasmasat kurute tatha, the fire of knowledge. So fire of yoga is that fire which can burn the impressions in their seed form when they are not yet manifested, and one can get rid of all those miseries which are going to trouble us in many more lifetimes in future. So the subtle form of obstacles can be easily eliminated through practice of Kriya Pranayama. Then what about the impressions or miseries which are already manifested in this lifetime? How to take care of those? So in this next sutra, Sage Patanjali is giving us the solution, and he's telling, this is the sutra number 11 in second book. How to destroy miseries in their manifested form? So the third element of Kriya Yoga, it says Dhyana Heyaha Tadvrittayaha. Their modifications or activities are avoided or destroyed by meditation. So what is meditation here? Third element of Kriya Yoga practice, Tapah Swadhyay. Now third element, Ishwar Pranidhana. Ishwar Pranidhan means complete surrender to God, and that is meditation. That is Paravastha. So that paravastha or silent meditation helps to destroy the miseries in their manifested form. So whatever miseries we are experiencing in this present life, because they are manifested, by meditating, especially Kriya Yoga and then Dhyana, we can completely destroy those miseries in the present life. So this is the way that whether the miseries are manifested or unmanifested, we can take care of both just by practice of Kriya. So three elements of Kriya: Tapah, Swadhyaya, that means Kriya Pranayama, takes care of the miseries in unmanifested form, in seed form, and Dhyana or meditation, which is Ishwar Pranidhana, third element, takes care of the present miseries in this lifetime. So how to destroy these miseries? When they have started manifesting in one's life, sage is telling dhyana heya, to avoid or eliminate through meditation. Sage Vyasa said, Kriya Yogena Tanukrata. One should attunate or dilute them by practicing Kriya Yoga. So the third element is really emphasized, Ishwar Pranidhana or meditation. Now, if we talk about elaborating this sutra, so in the previous sutra, there is importance given to Kriya Pranayama. And in this sutra, importance is given to Paravastha or meditation. So Tapah, Swadhyaya, Ishwar Pranidhanani, Kriya Yoga, these three as a practical instruction we learn from the teacher, and we can take care of all these miseries, 5 kinds of miseries, whether they are giving fruit in present life or in the previous life, or they are not yet manifested and they will become the cause of many more lifetimes in future. Another question comes that how do we accumulate these miseries, or when do they give us fruit or result? So in the next sutra, sage Patanjali is talking about sutra number 12 and 13 we'll take together in second book. Afflictions are the root cause of the reservoir of karma. Remember, we live in this world and every moment we are performing some action. In the Bhagavad Gita, third chapter, fifth verse, Lord is telling, Nahi kasyit kshanamapi jatu tishtati akarmakrat karyatehi avashah karma sarva prakriti jargunaihi. So when we are performing, because we cannot remain idle even for a single moment, we are constantly performing some action, mental, physical, or verbal, and they give some impression. They leave impression. And each impression, along with result, is stored in our unconscious mind, and that becomes the memory bank or sanchita karma, accumulated karma over lifetimes. So in this sutra, it is said, Klesha Mula Karmashayo Drashta Drashta Janma Vedaniya. So Drashta Adrashta Janma Vedaniya. The reservoir of actions which are rooted in all afflictions bring all types of experiences in present and future lives. So Klesha Mula Karmashaya Drashta Adrashta Janma Vedaniya. What does it mean? The reservoir of actions, both good and bad, of this life and other lives, is the root of miseries, of anger, passion, desires, etc. So there are two kinds of experiences we have, Drashta Janma Vedaniya and Adrashta Janma Vedaniya. Drashta Janma Vedaniya means the present life experiences. Drashta means which you can see, which are manifested in present life. Adrashta Janma Vedaniya implies the experiences of future lives which have not yet come. That means they are in seed form. We cannot see them at present. So all actions lead to 5 types of mental disturbances, which have a cause and effect relationship because of ego. Each one has to experience its result in this life or in future lives. Every human being in particular has the pool, karma ashaya. Ashaya means pool of seeds of karma, and most of these seeds of karma, out of ignorance, expand the karma reservoir, because not only one, there is one seed, it leads to many fruits. So we create more and more karma, and this pool or reservoir is increasing. That is what becoming the cause of our continuous suffering in many lifetimes. In current or future lives, these seeds get fructified or they come to fruition. Each individual, out of careless and ignorant lifestyle, is preparing for the next life. And Guruji reminds it very often that if we are not careful with our present action, we are already preparing for the next life. Suppose we get angry with someone, we have hatred with someone, we are too much attached with something or someone. So we are already preparing for our next life by creating these impressions, and they will bring these 5 kinds of miseries. So a careful and discriminative seeker wants to bring a beautiful end in this life. We don't want to come back again. So by practicing Kriya Yoga, we can end the suffering in this lifetime. So karmashaya, this pool of reservoir or the seeds of impressions in the form of reservoir, they become the cause of suffering because they manifest in present life and they are still in seed form, adrashta janma vedya. So we have to be really careful in this life not to continue our misery. Then what is the root cause of future life and lifespan? This is about the drashta janma vedaniya. That means whatever is manifested in the present life. But what is the cause of future lifetimes? So sage Patanjali is telling in the Sutra number 13, second book, when he's talking about this karmashaya, reservoir of action, continuously is telling now, sati mule tad vipako jati ayu bhogaha. Sati mule tad vipako jati ayu bhoga means so long as the root cause exists, it will bring fruits such as life, state, caste, lifespan, and enjoyments. There are 3 beautiful words are mentioned here by Sage Patanjali. Sati mule. Sati mule means what is the mule? Klesha mule. Klesha means the misery. What is the cause? Root cause? All those impressions from our previous lifetimes, they become the cause. Tad vipako jati ayu bhoga. So we'll discuss this sutra a little bit more. What is jati, ayu, and bhoga? First thing we need to understand that so long as the root cause exists, what is the root cause? Our previous life's impressions. It will bring results such as life, state, caste, lifespan, and enjoyment. Here says Patanjali is telling that so long as there is a root, one has to experience 3 things. Jati. First is called jati. Jati means birth. In which family you are going to be born, in which community you are going to be born, in which country you are going to be born. So that is called your jati, because it has come from jatu, means birth. So where you will be born, it is predestined. That is your destiny. Based on previous lives, strong impressions or strong unfulfilled desires. Then second thing is ayu. Ayu means lifespan, how long you are going to live in this present life. That is also pre-decided. Based on your karma, it is fixed that you are going to live this many years in this lifetime, and even the cause of death, the mode of death, it is predestined. So that is called ayu. And third word is bhoga. Bhoga means enjoyment. When you are born in this lifetime, a blueprint is already prepared. And a blueprint is there whether this entire life will be miserable life or very happy life. Small experiences of pleasant or unpleasant experiences may be different, but overall picture of your life is decided before you are born, and that is called bhoga. So jati, ayu, bhoga, these three things are known as your destiny. Apart from these three, day-to-day activities, small activities are not destiny, they are secondary karma. With regard to destiny, we have no choice. We cannot change them. We have to just go through that experience unless we practice Kriya Yoga. So, Jati, Ayu, Bhoga, these three things are fixed. Although the root is usually considered as the 5 afflictions: ignorance, ego, likes, dislikes, and fear, but the principal cause is ignorance. Ignorance is the root cause of all the miseries. And what is ignorance? We already discussed. When we consider as the self, non-self as the self, unreal as real, this is ignorance. For example, when we say we are body, we are mind, we identify with that, but that is not reality. So this is ignorance. When we identify ourselves as the soul, then it is knowledge. So ignorance, this ignorance we are talking, this is the ignorance of self-knowledge, not the ignorance of worldly knowledge. It is the ignorance of self-knowledge. From this ignorance, the reservoir of seeds of karma is formed. And once we get knowledge in this life, that means we attain self-realization, then there is no more birth. There is liberation. From this reservoir which we are increasing, some seeds go into fruition, and this is called vipaka. So in this sutra, when Sage Patanjali is telling sati mule tad vipaka, vipaka means fruition or giving result. So there are two types of vipaka, which means fruition, matured, ready to give result, or well cooked. So there are two types of vipaka, means two ways of giving fruit. One is known as niyata vipaka. Niyata means decided. So niyata vipaka means decided result, which is to be experienced in this life. Second is known as aniyata vipaka, undecided result. Undecided means which is not going to give result now, but it is stored for future lives. So we experience whatever karma we have done or we are doing, it is all stored, and it is divided into, one is niyata vipaka, decided result, which gives result in this lifetime. Aniyata vipaka, undecided result, which are stored for future lives. So these three things, jati, ayu, bhoga. Now, how do we get these three things as a destiny in this present life? Because of karmashaya. The karmashaya means all the different actions we have performed in life after life, we are storing them as a sanchit karma, and then they become the cause of present life as well as many more future lifetimes. But the reason is ignorance. So in each lifetime when we are born to attain self-realization. When Sage Patanjali is talking about Vipaka. Vipaka means giving result. So as a result of vipaka in this life, there are three things to be experienced. As he said, jati, ayu and bhoga. So jati I'll describe a little bit more. Jati means birth, different species, gender, class or caste. This is all jati. So jati is interpreted and understood from many different angles. Actually, this word jati is derived from root word jan. Jan means to be born. The birth or jati also means the reservoir of karma, which becomes the cause of this birth with diversities and differences. Jati also speaks of species, animals, humans, and others, as well as male or female, rich or poor, and different classes like Brahmins, Kshatriya, Shudra, Vaishya means business class or a priest class, warrior. This is all jati. In a subtle aspect, jati is only a samskara, impression or tendency. From the time of birth, with the growth of the child, the samskaras or impressions slowly manifest. Calmness, restlessness, joy, anger, and other such states are clearly visible in our life. Otherwise, while analyzing life, the body has no such classification, nor the soul. Each body, although appearing as different, essentially they are made of the same five elements, and the soul, being the power of God, has no distinction from one person to another. So when we just look at the life as a human, so each human being is made up of five gross elements. Each person has a soul, but all other things which are manifested in different forms of jati is based on individual karma. So all special characteristics that a person has are related to jati. The second word is ayu. Ayu means lifespan. One person will have a long lifespan while the other has a short life. Why there is this difference? It goes back to the same answer of karma vipaka, the fruition of karmas. It is said by the yogis that the previous karmas determine the lifespan in this birth, which is already determined from mother's womb. It is extremely rare that some strong actions, good or bad, in the present life can enhance the lifespan, and that something bad can decrease it in this life. One exception is there, which is Kriya Yoga. By practice of Kriya Yoga, we have observed that there is little modification in lifespan also. One can increase it to certain extent. Third word is bhoga. Bhoga means experiences or enjoyments. The enjoyment is possible due to contact of mind, sense organs, and the gross or subtle objects. So again, whenever we enjoy something or we experience something in this world, there are three things involved. First is our mind, which has all the desires to enjoy. Mind cannot go to the object directly, so it is employing sense organs as an agent. The sense organs, they get connected to the sense objects and they bring this experience, and ultimately mind is enjoying that object. For a detailed understanding, one should refer to Katha Upanishad. In Katha Upanishad, first canto, third chapter, there are two mantras, third and fourth mantras. They speak about this enjoyment, that how mind with the help of sense organs is enjoying these objects of the senses, objects of the world. This enjoyment gives pleasure and pain as well as likes and dislikes in this life. So in this life, whatever comfort or discomfort is available, it goes back to the source the root of karma, we call it karmashaya. So the karmashaya, or the reservoir of our all impressions of previous actions, is the root cause of our miseries, our experience, whether it's a bad experience, we are getting the result because of that. However, it does not matter for a Kriya one. If we are practicing Kriya and we are practicing these three elements, Tapaha, Swadhyaya, Ishwar, Pranidhanani, these three together, that means we are taking care of not only the present life's miseries, but also we can completely destroy the impressions which are pending, which are not yet manifested, by practicing meditation and Kriya Pranayama. So Kriya Yoga is the path to liberation. Otherwise, in a normal course, we have to continue our misery, we have to continue experiencing all the results of our karma life after life, and this vicious cycle cannot come to an end unless we apply a special force. And that force is some spiritual practice, especially Kriya Yoga is the practice which can help us in this life to bring an end to our misery. All this karmashaya we can completely destroy and become free in this lifetime. So this is why Kriya Yoga is the most important technique, and Kriya Yoga is the most ancient and scientific technique of meditation. Although there are different types of yoga available in the modern time, which are the branches or further development from one aspect of Kriya, a new yoga is developed. In this way, we see many yogas, but Kriya Yoga as originally taught by the master, authorized masters. This is the Kriya Yoga which Lord Shiva, Lord Krishna, Lord Rama has practiced and taught it in the scriptures. The same Kriya Yoga we practice, which has been given to us by the masters like Mahavatar Babaji, Sri Lahiri Maharaj onward. And this Kriya Yoga is the path to liberation. So I am praying to God that we should practice what we have received. This is the key to liberation, and this is the time when we have to focus on our sadhana instead of our miseries, and we can bring an end to all our miseries, whether they are manifested in this life or they are still waiting to be manifested for future lifetimes. Praying to God for all of you. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May all become happy and healthy, loving, noble, and compassionate. May there be no suffering, no sorrow. May there be more love, peace, and harmony among us and in this entire creation. Blessings of God be upon us all everywhere. Om. Amen. Thank you. I bow to God in each one of you. We'll continue our discussion on further sutras in the next class. But this, I think this is the most important discussion about Kriya Yoga. You can find more elaborate discussion or description in the books, as well as the 3 sets of video DVDs which are made by Shri Guruji. We are just discussing a little bit concept of those sutras, but the book and the DVDs will help you. So thank you all. See you again sometime.